Hello there, and welcome to a gentle journey beneath the waves. Tonight we drift slowly into the deep blue world of the ocean's most magnificent giants. Here the water moves like silk, and time seems to stretch endlessly. These are creatures so vast they dwarf entire city blocks, yet they glide through their liquid realm with the grace of dancers. We'll meet beings older than redwood forests, swimmers who traverse entire oceans without maps, and gentle titans whose songs carry across thousands of miles of open water. Some of these giants have hearts the size of small cars, while others possess brains that weigh more than a motorcycle. Yet despite their immense size, they move through their world with a delicacy that would shame the finest ballet. If these peaceful explorations help you unwind, or give you a moment of calm in your day, feel free to like and subscribe, or simply let your thoughts drift along with us. It helps others find their way to this tranquil corner of the internet, one curious soul at a time. But for now, let the surface world fade away as we descend into the embrace of the deep. The blue whale holds secrets in every fiber of its being. When you encounter a blue whale for the first time, even in your imagination, the sheer scale defies comprehension. These magnificent creatures can stretch longer than 3 school buses placed end to end, their bodies painted in shades of blue-grey that shift like storm clouds across summer skies. Their hearts alone beat with such power that a small child could crawl through the arteries. Though such a journey would be both impossible and unnecessary in this gentle giant's world. What strikes you most about blue whales is not just their size, but their impossible grace. Despite weighing as much as 30 elephants, they move through the water with fluid elegance. Their massive flippers, each one longer than a giraffe is tall, cut through the ocean like wings through air. When they surface to breathe, their spout shoots skyward in a column of mist that can be seen from miles away, a lighthouse beacon made of breath and seawater. These gentle giants feed almost exclusively on some of the ocean's smallest creatures. Krill, tiny shrimp-like animals no bigger than your thumb, form the foundation of the blue whale's diet. To capture these minuscule morsels, the whale opens its enormous mouth and takes in tremendous volumes of water. Grooves along its throat expand like an accordion, allowing the mouth to hold water equivalent to its own body weight. Then, with methodical patience, it pushes the water out through baleen plates that act like a massive sieve, trapping thousands of krill inside. During feeding season, a blue whale might consume up to 4 tons of krill each day. That translates to millions of individual creatures, each one a small spark of life contributing to the survival of the ocean's largest inhabitant. There's something profoundly peaceful about this relationship between the immense and the tiny, a reminder that even giants depend on the smallest gifts the sea provides. Blue whales are wanderers of the deepest kind. They follow ancient migration routes that span entire ocean basins, traveling from feeding grounds in polar waters to breeding areas in tropical seas. These journeys can cover 12,000 miles or more, making them among the longest migrations of any animal on Earth. They navigate not with charts or compasses, but with an internal sense that scientists are still working to understand. Some believe they follow magnetic fields embedded in the ocean floor, while others suggest they listen to the subtle sounds of waves breaking on distant shores. During these epic voyages, blue whales often travel alone or in small groups, their massive forms cutting silently through the endless blue. They move with purpose, but without haste, their powerful tails propelling them forward at speeds that seem leisurely, but cover vast distances. A blue whale's tail flukes can span the width of a soccer goal, and each downward thrust moves tons of water with effortless strength. The songs of blue whales carry mysteries that ocean scientists have spent decades trying to decode. These vocalizations are among the loudest sounds made by any animal, reaching volumes that could damage human hearing if we could hear them at all. Most blue whale calls occur at frequencies so low they're below the range of human perception, traveling through the water as infrasonic waves that can journey hundreds of miles before fading. These deep songs serve multiple purposes in the whale's social world. Males sing elaborate compositions during breeding season, their voices carrying across ocean basins to attract potential mates. The songs are not random noise but structured melodies with repeating phrases and themes. Each population of blue whales has its own dialect, its own musical signature that distinguishes it from whales in other parts of the world. Scientists have discovered that these songs change over time, evolving like human languages. New phrases appear while others fade away, suggesting that whale culture itself shifts and adapts across generations. When researchers play recordings of blue whale songs from decades past, they sound noticeably different from the songs heard today, as if we're listening to an ancient form of music that continues to evolve in the deep. The grey whale tells a different story of oceanic wandering. These magnificent creatures undertake one of the longest migrations in the animal kingdom, a round-trip journey that covers more than 12,000 miles each year. Their route takes them from feeding grounds in the Arctic to breeding lagoons in Mexico, a journey that has been repeated for thousands of years with clockwork precision. Grey whales are bottom feeders, a feeding strategy that sets them apart from their oceanic cousins. Instead of filtering krill from the water column, they dive to the seafloor and use their massive heads like plows, scooping up sediment and the small creatures living within it. Their mouths fill with mud, sand, and the tiny amphipods and worms that make up their diet. Then, like underwater miners, they filter out the sediment and swallow their catch. This feeding behavior has given grey whales a distinctly weathered appearance. Their skin is covered with scars, scratches, and patches of barnacles that tell the story of countless dives to rocky and sandy bottoms. These marks are like medals earned through a lifetime of foraging, each scar a testament to their persistence in finding food in the most challenging environments. The migration of grey whales follows the Pacific coastline, bringing them close to shore, where human observers can witness their passage. During their southern journey, pregnant females heavy with calves move with determined purpose toward the warm lagoons where they'll give birth. The return trip north presents different challenges, as mothers with newborn calves must travel slowly, allowing their young ones to build strength for the long journey ahead. Grey whale calves are born in shallow, protected waters where they're safe from predators and rough seas. These lagoons serve as nurseries where mothers can focus entirely on caring for their young. The bond between mother and calf is extraordinarily strong, with mothers going without food for months while their babies nurse and grow. By the time they're ready to make their first migration north, the calves have doubled in size, fueled entirely by their mother's rich milk. Sperm whales dive deeper into mystery than any other whale species. These remarkable animals are the ocean's champion deep-sea divers, capable of descending to depths where sunlight has never penetrated and pressure would crush most living things. They can hold their breath for over an hour, diving down thousands of feet to hunt in the abyssal depths where giant squids and other mysterious creatures dwell. The head of a sperm whale is one of nature's most extraordinary structures. Nearly 1/3 of the animal's total length is devoted to this massive, square-fronted organ filled with a waxy substance called spermaceti. For centuries, humans puzzled over the purpose of this enormous head, but scientists now believe it serves multiple functions. The spermaceti may help control the whale's buoyancy during deep dives, and it certainly plays a role in the whale's sophisticated echolocation system. Sperm whales navigate and hunt in complete darkness using biosonar, more advanced than any human technology. They produce powerful clicking sounds that travel through the water and bounce back from objects in their path. By analyzing these returning echoes, sperm whales can create detailed mental maps of their surroundings, locate prey, and communicate with other whales across vast distances. The social structure of sperm whales revolves around family groups, led by the oldest and most experienced females. These matriarchal societies consist of mothers, daughters, sisters, and their young, forming tight-knit communities that can span several generations. Male sperm whales live differently, leaving their birth pods when they reach maturity to live more solitary lives, joining other males in bachelor groups or roaming the oceans alone. Within these female-led societies, cooperation and mutual aid are essential for survival. When one whale dives to hunt in the deep, others remain near the surface to watch over calves that cannot yet make such extreme dives. If danger threatens, the entire pod may form a defensive circle, their massive heads facing outward like a fortress of flesh, protecting the most vulnerable members in the center. The hunting grounds of sperm whales exist in a world of perpetual darkness, thousands of feet below the ocean's surface. Here they pursue some of the sea's most elusive prey, including giant squids that can grow nearly as large as the whales themselves. These underwater battles between titans leave their mark on both predator and prey. Sperm whales often bear circular scars from squid tentacles, while squid beaks found in whale stomachs tell tales of successful hunts in the midnight zone. Humpback whales are perhaps the ocean's most expressive artists. Their songs are complex musical compositions that can last for hours, filled with themes, variations, and improvisations that would impress any human composer. During breeding season, male humpbacks perform these elaborate concerts, their voices carrying through the water with haunting beauty that speaks to something deep in the human soul. Each humpback whale population has its own song, a shared musical culture that all males in the group perform with subtle individual variations. These songs evolve throughout the breeding season, with new phrases appearing and spreading through the population like hit singles on a whale radio station. By the end of the season, the entire population may be singing a noticeably different version of the song than they started with. The artistry of humpback whale songs extends far beyond simple communication. These marine musicians craft their melodies with deliberate pacing, building crescendos and allowing moments of silence that enhance the emotional impact of each phrase. Some songs begin with deep, rumbling bass notes that seem to emerge from the earth itself, while others start with high, piercing calls that cut through the water like silver threads. What makes these compositions truly remarkable is their ability to adapt and change. A humpback whale song recorded in Hawaiian waters might sound completely different from one heard in Alaskan seas, yet both carry the same underlying emotional resonance. These whales are not simply making noise or following genetic programming. They are creating art, expressing something that transcends the basic needs of survival and reproduction. The physical performance of these songs is as impressive as the music itself. Humpback whales often position themselves vertically in the water while singing, their massive heads pointing downward toward the ocean depths. In this posture, they appear to be serenading the abyss itself, their bodies swaying gently with the rhythm of their own compositions. The effort required to maintain these positions for hours while producing such complex vocalizations speaks to the importance these songs hold in whale society. Beyond their musical talents, Humpback whales are renowned for their spectacular displays above the water's surface. These acrobatic giants can launch their entire 40-ton bodies completely out of the ocean in a behavior known as breaching. The sight of such an enormous creature defying gravity, if only for a moment, leaves observers breathless with wonder. Water cascades from their bodies like liquid diamonds as they hang suspended between sea and sky, before crashing back down with tremendous force. Scientists continue to debate the reasons behind these aerial displays. Some believe breaching serves as a form of long-distance communication, the thunderous splash audible for miles underwater. Others suggest it may be a way to dislodge parasites, or simply an expression of joy and playfulness. Whatever the motivation, these moments when whales touch the realm of air remind us that the boundaries between worlds are more fluid than we might imagine. Humpback whales also demonstrate remarkable intelligence in their feeding strategies. In Alaska and other northern waters, groups of humpbacks have developed a sophisticated hunting technique called bubble netting. Working together with the precision of a well-rehearsed orchestra, these whales coordinate their movements to create cylindrical curtains of bubbles that trap schools of fish or krill. The process begins with one whale diving deep below a school of prey and swimming in an expanding spiral while releasing a steady stream of bubbles from its blowhole. As the bubble net forms, other whales position themselves around its perimeter. At precisely the right moment, all the whales surge upward through the center of the bubble cylinder with their mouths wide open, capturing massive quantities of confused and concentrated prey. This cooperative hunting requires not only intelligence, but also perfect timing and communication. Each whale must know exactly when to dive, where to position itself, and when to begin the final feeding rush. The fact that humpback whales can coordinate such complex group behaviors speaks to social bonds and cognitive abilities that scientists are only beginning to understand. The gentle giants known as whale sharks drift through tropical oceans like living cathedrals. Their massive forms adorned with patterns of spots and stripes that are as unique as human fingerprints. These magnificent creatures, despite their name, are not whales at all but the largest fish in the ocean. Their mouths can open wide enough to swallow a small car, yet they use this enormous capacity to filter some of the sea's smallest organisms from the water. Whale sharks embody a profound paradox of ocean life. Their size inspires awe and perhaps a primal fear, yet their nature is utterly peaceful. They glide through the water with slow, powerful movements of their massive tails, their spotted skin shimmering in the filtered sunlight that penetrates the upper layers of the sea. Divers who encounter whale sharks often describe the experience as transformative, a moment when the vast scale of ocean life becomes tangible and personal. These gentle giants follow seasonal patterns that bring them to specific locations where food is abundant. In some parts of the world, whale shark gatherings draw dozens of individuals to the same feeding areas. These congregations are rare spectacles, moments when the ocean reveals its capacity to support such enormous life forms in numbers that seem impossible given their size. The feeding behavior of whale sharks is mesmerizing in its simplicity. They swim slowly forward with their cavernous mouths agape, taking in enormous volumes of water along with the plankton, small fish, and fish eggs suspended within it. Gill rakers inside their mouths strain out the water while trapping the food particles, much like the baleen of great whales. The process is methodical and peaceful, a reminder that some of nature's most impressive predators are also its gentlest. Young whale sharks begin life as creatures small enough to hold in your hands, but they grow continuously throughout their lives, which may span many decades. The largest individuals can reach lengths of 40 feet or more. their growth a testament to the ocean's ability to nurture life on scales that challenge human comprehension. Each whale shark carries with it the accumulated experiences of years spent wandering the open ocean, following currents and seasons in patterns that connect distant parts of our blue planet. The manta ray moves through water with wings instead of fins, its graceful flight a dance that has continued unchanged for millions of years. These ethereal creatures soar through the ocean depths with wingspans that can exceed 20 feet, their bodies flattened and shaped by evolution into perfect aquatic aircraft. Watching a manta ray glide overhead is like witnessing a living cloud, their movements so fluid they seem to bend the very water around them. Manta rays gather at specific locations known as cleaning stations, underwater oases where smaller fish perform the important service of removing parasites and dead skin from the rays' enormous bodies. These cleaning stations become social hubs where manta rays from across the ocean converge, creating temporary communities that dissolve and reform with the rhythms of the sea. The intelligence of manta rays reveals itself in their curious nature and apparent recognition of individual humans. Divers report that these gentle giants often approach with what can only be described as interest, circling slowly as if trying to understand these strange visitors to their realm. Some manta rays return to the same locations repeatedly, suggesting not only memory, but perhaps an emotional attachment to certain places in their vast oceanic territory. During feeding, manta rays perform underwater somersaults with breathtaking grace, their movements creating spiral currents that concentrate plankton into dense patches. They feed with their mouths wide open, filtering enormous quantities of water through specialized gill rakers that trap the tiny organisms that sustain them. The sight of these magnificent creatures performing their feeding ballet against the backdrop of the open ocean is a reminder of the choreographed beauty that exists in even the most basic acts of survival. Manta rays are among the few marine creatures that seem to seek out interaction with humans, approaching divers and swimmers with apparent curiosity rather than fear. This behavior suggests a level of intelligence and social awareness that challenges our understanding of fish cognition. Some individuals have been observed returning to interact with the same human researchers over multiple encounters, as if they remember and perhaps even enjoy these meetings between species. The great white shark commands respect not through aggression, but through perfect adaptation to its oceanic environment. These apex predators have remained virtually unchanged for millions of years, their bodies refined by evolution into instruments of incredible efficiency and power. Every aspect of their anatomy serves a purpose, from their torpedo-shaped bodies that cut through water with minimal resistance to their multiple rows of razor-sharp teeth that replace themselves throughout their lives. Great whites are nomads of the open ocean, traveling vast distances along migration routes that scientists are still mapping. Individual sharks have been tracked crossing entire ocean basins, their journeys taking them from coastal feeding areas to mysterious offshore locations where they may spend months in the deep blue wilderness. These migrations reveal great whites not as coastal predators, but as true citizens of the open ocean. The sensory capabilities of great whites border on the supernatural. They can detect electrical fields generated by the heartbeats of other animals, sense vibrations in the water from tremendous distances, and follow scent trails that would be undetectable to any human technology. This sensory arsenal allows them to navigate and hunt in an environment where visibility is often limited and prey can be scattered across vast areas. Despite their fearsome reputation, great white sharks display behaviors that suggest complex social structures and individual personalities. Some individuals show curiosity about human activities, investigating boats and diving cages, with apparent interest rather than aggression. Others demonstrate what can only be described as playfulness, interacting with floating objects or engaging in behaviors that serve no obvious survival purpose. The journey of great white sharks from birth to maturity is a decades-long odyssey that takes them through different ocean habitats and hunting strategies. Young great whites feed primarily on fish and smaller prey, gradually shifting to larger marine mammals as they grow and develop the size and strength needed to tackle such formidable quarry. This progression reflects not just physical growth, but the accumulation of hunting knowledge and experience that makes adult great whites such effective predators. The mystery of great white reproduction has only recently begun to yield its secrets to marine biologists. These sharks give birth to live young after an extended gestation period that may last over a year. The newborn sharks are immediately independent, beginning their oceanic journey with instinctive knowledge that will guide them through the challenges of survival in one of Earth's most demanding environments. The orca moves through its domain with the confidence of royalty. And indeed, these magnificent creatures are often called the kings and queens of the sea. Their distinctive black and white markings create patterns as individual as human faces, each whale carrying its own unique signature written in nature's bold strokes. When an orca surfaces, its dorsal fin cutting through the water like a dark sail against the sky, there's an unmistakable sense of intelligence looking back at you through those knowing eyes. What sets orcas apart from other ocean giants is not just their size, but their remarkable social bonds. These whales live in family groups called pods, communities that can span multiple generations and remain together for entire lifetimes. Mothers, daughters, sons, and grandchildren travel the oceans as a unit, their relationships built on decades of shared experiences and mutual support. The eldest female often leads these family groups, her wisdom and memory serving as a living library of oceanic knowledge. The language of orcas reveals itself in their complex vocalizations, each pod developing its own dialect that distinguishes it from other orca families. These vocal traditions pass from mother to calf, like ancestral songs, creating cultural identities that persist across generations. When different pods meet in the vast ocean, they can recognize each other's family lineage simply by listening to their calls, a form of aquatic genealogy that connects relatives across thousands of miles of open water. Orcas demonstrate hunting strategies that border on the ingenious. Different populations have developed specialized techniques perfectly adapted to their local environments and preferred prey. Some orcas have learned to beach themselves temporarily on shorelines to catch seals, sliding their massive bodies onto beaches with calculated precision before returning to the safety of deeper water. Others work together to create waves that wash seals from ice flows, their coordinated movements displaying planning and foresight that suggests deep intelligence. The emotional lives of orcas reveal themselves in moments of profound tenderness and apparent grief. Mothers have been observed carrying deceased calves for days, unwilling to let go of their young ones, even when continuing the behavior interferes with feeding and normal activities. Pods gather around injured or distressed members, providing support and comfort in ways that speak to bonds that transcend simple survival instincts. When orcas play, their joy becomes infectious to anyone fortunate enough to witness it. These powerful predators transform into aquatic acrobats, leaping completely out of the water in displays that serve no apparent purpose other than exuberance. They've been observed playing catch with pieces of kelp, tossing the seaweed between family members in games that can continue for hours. Such behavior reminds us that intelligence and emotional complexity often express themselves through play, The wandering albatross spends most of its life riding the winds above the southern oceans, its wings locked in position as it soars effortlessly across vast distances without a single flap. These magnificent seabirds possess the longest wingspan of any living bird, stretching over 11 feet from tip to tip. Their entire existence is built around the art of flight, their bodies perfectly adapted to life in the endless sky above the endless sea. Albatrosses are creatures of patience and endurance, capable of flying thousands of miles without touching land. They follow weather patterns and wind currents with the skill of natural meteorologists, reading the subtle signs in cloud formations and wave patterns that tell them where the best flying conditions can be found. Their mastery of dynamic soaring allows them to extract energy from the wind itself, turning the ocean's restless atmosphere into their personal highway. The courtship rituals of wandering albatrosses unfold like elaborate dances choreographed by the wind. Pairs engage in synchronized displays that can last for hours. Their movements are conversation conducted through gesture and posture. They point their beaks skyward, spread their enormous wings, and step through intricate patterns that seem to celebrate both their partnership and their mastery of the aerial realm. These dances often take place on remote islands where albatrosses gather to breed, transforming windswept landscapes into ballrooms for giants. Once paired, albatrosses form bonds that can last for decades, partnerships built on shared journeys across the world's most challenging oceans. They take turns caring for their single chick, while the other parent embarks on foraging flights that may cover thousands of miles. The returning parent arrives with a crop full of rich oils and partially digested seafood, nourishment gathered from the far corners of the southern seas and delivered with the dedication that defines these remarkable birds. Young albatrosses spend their first years entirely at sea, learning to read the wind and waves without any guidance from their parents. They must master the complex art of dynamics soaring through trial and error, developing the skills that will sustain them through a lifetime of oceanic wandering. Some individuals may not return to land for nearly a decade, spending their youth in constant motion above the rolling swells of the Southern Ocean. The giant Pacific octopus dwells in the darker corners of the ocean, its intelligence hidden within a body that seems to belong more to imagination than reality. These remarkable cephalopods can grow to spans of 30 feet or more, their 8 arms capable of independent thought and action. Each arm contains more nerve cells than the entire brain of most vertebrates, creating a distributed intelligence that allows the octopus to multitask in ways that challenge our understanding of animal cognition. What makes these creatures truly extraordinary is their ability to transform both their appearance and behavior in response to their surroundings. A giant Pacific octopus can change its color and texture in milliseconds, morphing from smooth and pale to rough and mottled, matching the seafloor so perfectly that it becomes virtually invisible. This shape-shifting ability extends beyond mere camouflage to include mimicry of other sea creatures, with octopuses adopting the movements and appearance of flatfish, sea snakes, and other animals. The problem-solving abilities of giant Pacific octopuses have amazed researchers and aquarium keepers for generations. These invertebrates can navigate complex mazes, open jars from the inside, and manipulate tools with a dexterity that rivals that of primates. They demonstrate clear preferences for certain types of shells as homes, and have been observed rearranging their environment to create more comfortable or defensible living spaces. Despite their fearsome appearance, giant Pacific octopuses are remarkably gentle creatures that often display curiosity toward human divers. They explore their visitors with delicate touches of their sensitive arms, their suction cups tasting and feeling simultaneously as they gather information about these strange intruders in their realm. The intelligence behind their large eyes seems to evaluate and consider, making decisions based on complex assessments that we can only guess at. The reproductive cycle of giant Pacific octopuses follows a pattern of ultimate sacrifice that speaks to the depth of parental dedication found throughout the ocean. Females guard their eggs for months, never leaving them to feed, slowly weakening as they fan fresh water over their developing offspring. This final act of devotion costs them their lives, but ensures that the next generation begins existence with the best possible chance of survival in the challenging deep-sea environment. The Portuguese man-o-war drifts across the ocean's surface like a living balloon, its translucent blue body catching the sunlight as it rides the currents and winds of tropical seas. Despite its jellyfish-like appearance, this creature is actually a colonial organism, a community of specialized individuals working together as a single entity. Its gas-filled bladder acts as a sail, allowing it to travel vast distances at the mercy of weather patterns and ocean currents. Trailing beneath its floating body, the man-o-war extends tentacles that can stretch for dozens of feet, invisible threads armed with millions of stinging cells. These weapons are not wielded with malicious intent, but serve as both hunting tools and defensive mechanisms in an ocean full of predators and prey. The creature has no control over where the currents take it, making it one of the ocean's most nomadic wanderers, forever at the mercy of forces far greater than itself. Despite their dangerous reputation, Portuguese man-o-war play important roles in their oceanic ecosystems. Small fish sometimes seek shelter among their tentacles, developing immunity to the stings in exchange for protection from larger predators. This relationship demonstrates the complex web of dependencies that connects even the most unlikely partners in the vast ocean community. The seasonal migrations of man-o-war bring them close to shores, where their presence creates both wonder and caution among beachgoers. Mass strandings can cover miles of coastline with these translucent sailors, their beauty intact, even as they lie helpless on the sand. These events remind us that the ocean regularly delivers visitors from its depths, messages from a world that operates by rules very different from our own. The sea turtle carries ancient wisdom in its slow, steady movements through ocean currents that have remained unchanged for millions of years. These reptilian mariners begin their lives as tiny hatchlings racing across beaches toward the safety of the surf, guided by instincts older than continents. Those that survive this dangerous journey embark on oceanic odysseys that can span decades and circle entire ocean basins. Leatherback sea turtles, the largest of all turtle species, dive deeper than any other reptile, descending thousands of feet into the cold darkness where they hunt jellyfish with single-minded determination. Their bodies are perfectly adapted for these extreme journeys, with specialized blood that carries extra oxygen and flexible shells that compress under the immense pressure of the deep sea. The navigation abilities of sea turtles remain one of the ocean's most remarkable mysteries. Females return to the exact beaches where they were born to lay their own eggs, somehow finding their way across thousands of miles of featureless ocean to beaches they haven't seen in decades. Scientists believe they may use Earth's magnetic field as a guide, reading invisible lines of force that crisscross the planet like a cosmic map. Green sea turtles transform their diets as they mature, shifting from carnivorous youngsters to herbivorous adults that graze on underwater meadows of seagrass. This dietary change reflects a deeper transformation, as juvenile turtles living in the open ocean gradually move to coastal habitats where they spend their adult lives maintaining the health of marine ecosystems through their gentle grazing. The courtship of sea turtles unfolds in the warm waters of tropical seas, where males may follow females for days. Their persistence a testament to the importance of reproduction in their long lives. Mating occurs in the water, often near the surface where the movements of the paired turtles create gentle disturbances that ripple outward like expressions of ancient romance. Hawksbill turtles possess beaks perfectly shaped for reaching into crevices in coral reefs, where they extract sponges and other invertebrates that few other creatures can access. Their feeding activities help maintain the delicate balance of reef ecosystems, preventing any single species from dominating these underwater gardens. Each turtle becomes a gardener of the reef, its daily activities shaping the community of life that surrounds it. The giant squid remains one of the ocean's most elusive mysteries, a creature of such size and strange beauty that it inspired legends long before science confirmed its existence. These deep-sea phantoms can grow to lengths that rival sperm whales, their bodies perfectly adapted for life in the perpetual darkness of the ocean's depths. Their eyes, the largest of any animal on Earth, gather every available photon of light in an environment where seeing can mean the difference between predator and prey. Living at depths where pressure would crush most surface dwellers, giant squids inhabit a world of eternal night, their movements guided by senses we can barely comprehend. Their tentacles, armed with rotating hooks and powerful suckers, serve as both hunting tools and defensive weapons in encounters with the sperm whales that actively seek them in the abyss. The intelligence of giant squids reveals itself in their complex nervous systems and sophisticated hunting strategies. These cephalopods possess advanced problem-solving abilities and demonstrate behaviors that suggest planning and foresight. Their ability to change color and pattern in the darkness may serve as a form of communication with others of their kind, a visual language conducted in bioluminescent displays. Few humans have ever witnessed a living giant squid in its natural habitat, making every encounter a moment of profound significance for marine science. The rare footage and photographs that exist show creatures of impossible grace and alien beauty, their movements fluid and purposeful despite their enormous size. Each sighting adds another piece to the puzzle of how these magnificent animals live and reproduce in one of Earth's most challenging environments. The battles between giant squids and sperm whales represent some of nature's most epic struggles, contests between titans that take place in the crushing darkness miles below the surface. The evidence of these encounters appears as circular scars on whale skin and squid beaks found in whale stomachs, physical proof of conflicts that dwarf any terrestrial predator-prey relationship in both scale and drama. As our journey through the realm of ocean giants draws toward its gentle conclusion, we find ourselves changed by these encounters with beings whose lives unfold on scales that challenge human comprehension. Each creature we've met carries within itself the accumulated wisdom of millions of years of evolution, their bodies and behaviors perfectly adapted to environments that remain largely mysterious to us land-dwelling observers. The depths of the ocean hold creatures whose very existence seems to bend the rules of what we thought possible. In trenches so deep that entire mountain ranges could be swallowed without trace, life continues in forms that appear crafted by dreams rather than evolution. Here, where the weight of water above could flatten steel, giants move with the same gentle grace we've witnessed in the sunlit shallows. The giant isopod scuttles across the abyssal plains like a living fossil, its armored body unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. These deep-sea wanderers can grow as large as small dogs, their segmented shells gleaming in the faint bioluminescent glow of their neighbors. They move with deliberate slowness across the seafloor, their many legs carrying them between the scattered remains of marine snow that drifts down from the world above like underwater confetti. In this realm of perpetual winter, giant isopods have learned the art of patience, elevated to an almost spiritual level. They can survive for years without feeding, their metabolisms slowing to a whisper while they wait for the rare bounty that occasionally reaches their domain. When a whale carcass settles onto the abyssal plain, it becomes an oasis of abundance that can sustain entire communities for decades. Giant isopods gather around these underwater feasts like gentle pilgrims. They're feeding a slow ceremony that speaks to the sacred nature of sustenance in the deep. The Japanese spider crab extends its impossibly long legs across the ocean floor like a living constellation, each limb reaching farther than a human arm can stretch. These arthropod giants can span 12 feet from claw to claw, yet they move with surprising delicacy through their deep water gardens. Their shells become mobile ecosystems, hosting gardens of sponges, barnacles, and algae that transform each crab into a walking reef. These ancient mariners climb the underwater slopes of seamounts and volcanic ridges. Their journey measured not in hours, but in seasons. They migrate from the depths to shallower waters, following rhythms that connect them to the moon's phases and the changing seasons far above. During their spawning gatherings, hundreds of spider crabs converge in underwater valleys, their legs intertwining in masses that resemble strange underwater forests swaying in the current. The patience of Japanese spider crabs manifests in their incredibly long lifespans, with some individuals living for over a century. They witness the rise and fall of entire generations of fish, the slow growth of coral gardens, and the gradual shifting of the seafloor itself. Each crab becomes a living archive of oceanic history, carrying in its ancient shell the memories of countless tides and seasons. The giant Pacific sea anemone anchors itself to rocky outcroppings like an underwater flower garden, its tentacles swaying in currents that have flowed unchanged for millennia. These creatures can live for centuries, their bodies growing larger and more magnificent with each passing decade. Their colors shift from pale green to deep purple, creating underwater bouquets that rival any terrestrial garden in beauty and complexity. Within the protective embrace of these giant anemones, entire communities of fish make their homes. Clownfish dart between the stinging tentacles with practiced ease, their bright orange bodies creating flashes of color against the anemone's muted tones. This partnership between flower and fish represents one of the ocean's most enduring friendships, a relationship built on mutual benefit and trust that spans the entire lifetime of both creatures. The feeding behavior of giant sea anemones unfolds like slow-motion poetry. When small fish or crustaceans venture too close, the tentacles respond with fluid grace, enveloping their prey in embraces that are both deadly and beautiful. The paralyzed catch disappears into the anemone's central mouth, beginning a digestive process that can take days to complete. This unhurried approach to feeding reflects the anemone's connection to geological time, where patience is measured in decades rather than minutes. The colossal squid dwells even deeper than its giant cousin in waters so remote that no human eye has ever witnessed one alive in its natural habitat. These phantom titans possess hooks that rotate like tiny chainsaws, weapons that speak to battles fought in darkness against opponents we can only imagine. Their bodies, built for life under crushing pressure, represent evolution's response to one of Earth's most extreme environments. Unlike the giant squid's preference for the middle depths, colossal squids inhabit the deepest trenches and abyssal plains, territories where the very concept of up and down becomes meaningless in the eternal night. Their eyes, even larger than those of giant squids, function like biological telescopes, gathering the faintest traces of bioluminescent light from creatures that drift through their domain like living stars. The hunting strategies of colossal squids remain largely mysterious, but evidence suggests they are ambush predators of extraordinary patience. They may hover motionless in the water column for hours or even days, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When prey ventures within range, the attack happens with explosive speed, tentacles shooting out to grasp victims with hooks that ensure no escape is possible. The Greenland shark moves through Arctic waters like a living glacier, its massive body progressing with the same inevitable slowness that shapes polar ice. These remarkable creatures can live for over 400 years, making them among the longest-lived vertebrates on Earth. Their flesh contains natural antifreeze compounds that allow them to thrive in waters cold enough to kill most marine life. The eyes of many Greenland sharks host small parasitic crustaceans that dangle like living jewelry, yet the sharks seem unbothered by these permanent passengers. This strange partnership may actually benefit the sharks, as the dangling parasites might attract curious prey within striking distance. The relationship represents adaptation taken to its logical extreme, where even parasitism becomes a tool for survival. During the brief Arctic summer, Greenland sharks gather in areas where ice meets open water, their movements synchronized with the melting and freezing cycles that define polar seasons. They feed on seals, fish, and even polar bears that have ventured too far from solid ice. Their hunting success relies not on speed, but on stealth and the ability to remain motionless beneath ice floes for hours at a time. The basking shark filters the sun-warmed surface waters with its enormous mouth agape, creating a living funnel that processes thousands of gallons of seawater every minute. These gentle giants follow the seasonal blooms of plankton like aquatic gardeners, their presence often marking the invisible boundaries where warm and cold currents meet. Their dorsal fins cutting through the surface have inspired countless sea serpent legends throughout maritime history. Despite their massive size, basking sharks can leap completely out of the water in displays that rival those of humpback whales. The sight of a 20-foot fish launching itself into the air defies every expectation we might have about these filter-feeding giants. Scientists believe these breaches may serve to dislodge parasites or communicate with other basking sharks across vast distances. The seasonal migrations of basking sharks follow plankton blooms across entire ocean basins, journeys that connect distant ecosystems in patterns scientists are still mapping. Individual sharks may travel from tropical breeding grounds to Arctic feeding areas, their routes guided by chemical signatures in the water that tell the story of ocean productivity. These migrations make basking sharks true citizens of the global ocean, their lives connecting waters from the equator to the poles. The giant barrel sponge grows on coral reefs like an underwater cathedral, its hollow interior providing shelter for countless smaller creatures. These living buildings can grow for centuries, their bodies slowly filtering millions of gallons of seawater while removing bacteria and organic particles from the reef ecosystem. Fish swim through their central chambers as if passing through underwater hallways, their movements creating gentle currents that help the sponge capture food. The colors of giant barrel sponges shift with the light, appearing purple in the deep shadows and golden yellow when illuminated by diving lights. Their surfaces host entire communities of smaller organisms, creating apartment complexes where different species occupy specific levels and chambers. Shrimp scurry through the sponge's channels, while small fish dart in and out of its openings, each creature playing its role in the sponge's underwater ecosystem. The growth rate of barrel sponges connects them to geological time, with the largest specimens potentially older than the coral reefs that surround them. They serve as living archives of ocean chemistry, their tissues recording changes in water temperature and composition over decades. Scientists study these ancient sponges, like underwater tree rings, reading the history of climate change written in their slowly growing bodies. The giant clam opens its shell like a living flower, its colourful mantle tissues creating gardens of blue, green and gold on coral reef flats. These magnificent mollusks can weigh over 500 pounds, their shells growing large enough to serve as bathtubs for the humans who once harvested them. Inside their tissues live billions of algae that photosynthesize in the tropical sunlight, turning the clams into living solar panels that supplement their filter feeding with energy from the sun. The partnership between giant clams and their algae represents one of nature's most successful collaborations. The clams provide protection and nutrients for the algae, while the algae supply sugars and oxygen that help fuel the clam's massive growth. This relationship allows giant clams to thrive in the nutrient-poor waters of tropical reefs, where other filter feeders struggle to find enough food. The reproductive strategy of giant clams involves releasing millions of eggs and sperm into the water column, creating clouds of genetic material that drift with the currents. The timing of these spawning events often coincides with lunar cycles and seasonal changes, ensuring that the maximum number of larvae survive to settle on suitable reef habitat. Young clams begin life as free-swimming larvae before settling down to begin their centuries-long lives anchored to the reef. The giant kelp forests of temperate seas create underwater cathedrals that rival any terrestrial forest in complexity and beauty. These marine plants can grow over 2 feet per day, their fronds reaching toward the surface with the urgency of life-seeking light. The kelp blades sway in the surge like underwater trees, their movements creating a hypnotic dance that continues day and night with the rhythm of the tides. Within these kelp forests, entire ecosystems flourish in the filtered sunlight that penetrates the canopy. Sea otters wrap themselves in kelp fronds while they sleep, using the plants as natural anchors to prevent themselves from drifting away with the current. Fish weave between the kelp blades like birds through tree branches, while sea urchins graze on the forest floor like underwater deer. The seasonal cycles of kelp forests create underwater landscapes that change dramatically throughout the year. Storm swells can strip entire forests bare, leaving only the stubble of holdfasts clinging to the rocky seafloor. Yet within months, new growth emerges, and the forest regenerates with resilience that speaks to the kelp's ancient mastery of coastal environments. The giant Pacific manta ray soars through open ocean waters, with wings that span nearly 30 feet, its movements creating underwater thermals that smaller fish ride like aquatic surfers. These oceanic wanderers follow currents and upwellings that bring nutrient-rich water to the surface. Their feeding areas often marked by flocks of seabirds diving from above. The intelligence of giant mantas reveals itself in their ability to recognize and remember individual human divers, approaching certain people with apparent curiosity while avoiding others. Some individuals return to the same cleaning stations repeatedly over many years, suggesting not only memory, but perhaps emotional attachments to specific locations in their vast oceanic territory. The courtship flights of giant manta rays unfold like aerial ballets, performed thousands of feet above the ocean floor. Males pursue females in spiraling dances that can last for hours, their movements synchronized with grace that would challenge the finest human dancers. These displays of athleticism and endurance demonstrate the physical capabilities hidden within their seemingly effortless gliding flight. The giant oarfish undulates through deep waters like a living ribbon, its serpentine body reaching lengths that can exceed 30 feet. these mysterious creatures inhabit the twilight zone of the ocean, that dim realm between the sunlit surface and the eternal darkness of the abyss. Their silver bodies catch what little light penetrates to their depth, creating flashes of brilliance that vanish as quickly as they appear. Rarely seen alive at the surface, giant oarfish occasionally appear in shallow water when they are sick or dying, their presence often interpreted as omens by coastal communities. These encounters with the doomsday fish have inspired legends and folklore throughout maritime cultures, their otherworldly appearance seeming to belong more to mythology than marine biology. The swimming motion of giant oarfish involves undulating their entire body like a living wave, propelling themselves through the water with movements that seem to defy the physics of locomotion. Their long dorsal fin runs the entire length of their body, creating a crimson crest that ripples with each movement. This swimming style allows them to move efficiently through their deep water environment while maintaining perfect buoyancy control. The giant sea spider walks across the abyssal plains on legs that can span over 2 feet, its body so reduced that its digestive system extends into its limbs. These arthropods represent an extreme adaptation to deep-sea life, where every aspect of their anatomy has been modified for survival under crushing pressure and eternal cold. Despite their name, sea spiders are not true spiders, but belong to their own unique group of marine arthropods that have remained virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Their feeding apparatus resembles a proboscis that they insert into soft-bodied prey like sea anemones and sponges, slowly drawing out the nutritious fluids within. The reproductive behavior of giant sea spiders involves males carrying masses of eggs on specialized legs, their movements across the seafloor resembling underwater processions. This parental care continues for months as the eggs develop, with males carefully tending their precious cargo while navigating the challenges of deep-sea predators and the constant search for food. As we float here in the gentle embrace of these deep thoughts, surrounded by the whispered stories of ocean giants, we begin to understand that size in the sea is not merely about physical dimensions. It's about presence, about the way these creatures inhabit their liquid world with such complete belonging that they become part of the ocean's very essence. Each giant we've encountered carries within itself the rhythm of tides, the patience of geological time, and the wisdom that comes from living in harmony with forces far greater than any individual life. The ocean's giants remind us that magnificence often moves slowly, that true power lies not in speed or aggression, but in the ability to exist with grace under conditions that would challenge any smaller being. Their stories continue in the depths below, in migrations that span continents, and in the quiet moments when they gather in the darkness to perform the ancient rituals of their kind. In their presence, we find ourselves part of something larger than our terrestrial understanding, connected to currents that flow through both water and time, carrying the dreams of creatures whose lives unfold on scales that humble our hurried human existence. The giants of the sea invite us to slow our thoughts, deepen our breath, and remember that in the vast blue spaces of our planet, patience and presence create their own form of majesty. The deep ocean holds creatures that exist beyond the boundaries of our imagination, being so perfectly adapted to their liquid realm that they seem to have been crafted by the sea itself. Here in the eternal twilight of the middle depths, life takes forms that challenge every assumption we might hold about what it means to be large, to be gentle, to be magnificent. The giant siphonophore drifts through the water column like a living constellation, its body stretching longer than a blue whale, yet weighing no more than a few pounds. This creature is not a single animal, but a colony of specialized individuals, each one perfectly adapted for a specific function within the whole. Some members of the colony exist only to swim, their bell-shaped bodies pulsing in perfect synchronization. Others serve as fishing lines, their transparent tentacles extending for hundreds of feet into the darkness, armed with stinging cells that capture prey with deadly precision. What makes the siphonophore truly extraordinary is how these individual parts communicate and coordinate across such vast distances. Nerve signals travel along the colony's length, like messages passed through an underwater telegraph system, allowing the entire organism to respond as one to threats or opportunities. When prey brushes against a distant tentacle, the entire colony adjusts its position to optimize the capture, demonstrating a form of distributed intelligence that exists nowhere else in nature. The transparency of the siphonophore renders it nearly invisible in the open ocean, its body refracting light like living glass. Only the faintest shimmer betrays its presence as it moves through the water, a ghost made of sea and starlight. This invisibility serves both as camouflage from predators and as stealth technology for hunting, allowing the colony to position its deadly tentacles without alerting potential prey to the danger. Deep beneath the waves, the giant tube worm gardens cluster around hydrothermal vents like underwater flower beds, their crimson plumes swaying in currents heated by the Earth's inner fire. These remarkable creatures have no mouth, no stomach, no digestive system as we understand it. Instead, they host colonies of bacteria within their bodies, microscopic partners that transform the toxic chemicals spewing from the vents into nourishment that sustains both host and guest. The relationship between tube worms and their bacterial partners represents one of nature's most elegant solutions to an impossible problem. In an environment where sunlight never penetrates and conventional food chains cannot exist, these creatures have learned to harvest energy from the very chemistry that would poison most life. The bacteria consume hydrogen sulfide and methane, converting these deadly gases into organic compounds that feed the worm's growth. Giant tube worms can live for centuries in their volcanic gardens, their bodies growing slowly but steadily in the mineral-rich waters around the vents. They create underwater oases where life flourishes in conditions that mirror the early Earth, when our planet's atmosphere was toxic and life itself was still learning the fundamental rules of existence. Each vent community becomes a window into ancient possibilities, showing us how life might have begun in the deep places of our world. The rhythms of vent life follow patterns unknown to surface dwellers. When new vents open, pioneer species arrive within days, their larvae carried by deep currents from distant colonies. Tube worms establish themselves quickly, their rapid growth creating the foundation for entire ecosystems. As the vents age and their heat diminishes, the communities shift and change, following cycles of birth and renewal that span decades or centuries. The giant Pacific chiton clings to rocky shores where massive waves crash with the force of avalanches, its armored shell designed to withstand impacts that would shatter most creatures. These marine mollusks have perfected the art of holding on, their powerful foot creating suction that can resist forces equivalent to being struck by a freight train. When storms rage above, chitons simply hunker down and wait, their patient endurance a testament to the power of steadfast determination. The shell of a giant chiton consists of 8 overlapping plates that flex and bend with the animal's movements, creating armor that is both protective and flexible. Each plate grows throughout the chiton's life, recording in its layers the story of every storm weathered, every low tide endured. The patterns etched into these natural shields tell tales of survival written in calcium carbonate and time. Feeding occurs during the brief windows when tides retreat, exposing the chiton's rocky habitat to air and gentler conditions. They rasp algae from stone surfaces with tongues covered in teeth harder than steel, their methodical scraping audible above the sound of retreating waves. This grazing activity helps maintain the delicate balance of intertidal ecosystems, preventing any single species of algae from overwhelming the rocky gardens where so many creatures make their homes. The reproductive strategy of giant chitons involves releasing clouds of eggs and sperm into the turbulent waters of high tide, trusting the ocean's currents to bring genetic material together in the chaos of waves and foam. The larvae that result from these underwater meetings drift for weeks in the plankton before settling onto suitable rocks to begin their own centuries-long vigil against the sea's relentless power. The giant Pacific octopus emerges from its rocky den like liquid intelligence given form, its boneless body flowing through spaces that seem impossibly small for such a large creature. These masters of disguise can compress their bodies to fit through any opening larger than their hard beak, transforming their shape with such fluidity that they seem more like living water than flesh and blood. The hunting strategies of giant Pacific octopuses demonstrate problem-solving abilities that rival those of many vertebrates. They fashion tools from shells and rocks, using these implements to pry open stubborn prey or create barriers to protect their homes. Some individuals have been observed collecting bottles and cans from the seafloor, arranging them into fortifications around their dens with the patience and foresight of underwater architects. Communication among octopuses occurs through rapid changes in skin color and texture, creating displays that function like dynamic tattoos covering their entire bodies. These chromatic conversations can convey complex emotions and intentions, from the aggressive displays of territorial disputes to the gentle patterns shared between potential mates. Watching an octopus communicate is like seeing emotion made visible, painted across skin in colors that shift faster than thought. The intelligence of giant Pacific octopuses reveals itself in their apparent capacity for play and curiosity. In aquariums, these creatures often develop preferences for certain humans, approaching some visitors with obvious interest while ignoring others entirely. They manipulate objects for no apparent purpose other than exploration, their behavior suggesting an inner life rich with something that can only be called wonder. The giant kelp holdfast anchors entire underwater forests to rocky reefs, its gnarled structure resembling the root system of ancient trees. These biological anchors can weigh several tons and extend deep into crevices in the rock, creating foundations strong enough to support kelp fronds that reach toward the surface like submarine skyscrapers. The holdfast grows throughout the kelp's life, adding new attachment points and strengthening existing ones as the forest above expands and matures. Within the complex structure of the holdfast, entire communities of small creatures find shelter and sustenance. Worms tunnel through its tissues, crabs scuttle among its branches, and fish fry hide in its protected chambers. The holdfast becomes an apartment complex for marine life, its internal spaces providing refuge from predators and currents, while offering access to the nutrients that flow through the kelp's tissues. The seasonal cycles that govern kelp forests play out in the holdfast's growth patterns, with rapid expansion during spring and summer, followed by slower development during winter months. Storm damage to the forest above triggers responses in the holdfast below, as the anchor system adjusts to changing loads and stresses. This dynamic relationship between foundation and superstructure demonstrates the integrated nature of these underwater ecosystems. When kelp forests die back due to storms or environmental changes, the holdfasts can persist for years, waiting for conditions to improve. Dormant buds hidden within the anchor system can sprout new fronds when favorable conditions return, allowing entire forests to regenerate from their own foundations. This resilience has allowed kelp ecosystems to survive ice ages and climate changes that eliminated less adaptable marine communities. The giant barrel jellyfish pulses through tropical waters like a living umbrella, its bell spanning several feet and trailing tentacles that stream behind like silk ribbons. These graceful creatures move with the rhythm of their own heartbeat, their contractions propelling them through the water with hypnotic regularity. Their bodies are composed almost entirely of water, making them simultaneously massive and weightless, substantial yet ethereal. The feeding strategy of barrel jellyfish involves positioning themselves in currents where small prey animals are concentrated, their tentacles spread like nets to capture whatever the ocean delivers. They pulse slowly upward through these feeding zones, their bells contracting to drive water and prey toward their mouths. This passive hunting technique requires perfect timing and positioning, skills that these jellyfish have refined over millions of years. The transparency of barrel jellyfish renders them nearly invisible in the water column, their presence betrayed only by the subtle distortion of light passing through their gelatinous bodies. This camouflage protects them from predators while allowing them to approach prey without detection. When illuminated by underwater lights, they become living sculptures of crystalline beauty, their forms glowing with an inner radiance that seems almost supernatural. The life cycle of barrel jellyfish includes both sexual and asexual phases, with the familiar swimming medusae representing only one stage in a complex reproductive strategy. Their eggs develop into tiny polyps that attach to hard surfaces on the seafloor, where they can remain dormant for years before budding off new jellyfish when conditions are favorable. This dual lifestyle allows them to exploit both the rich feeding opportunities of the open ocean and the stability of benthic habitats. The giant moray eel inhabits coral reef caves like an underwater dragon, its powerful jaws and sinuous body perfectly adapted for life in the labyrinthine passages of the reef. These formidable predators can grow to lengths exceeding 8 feet, their muscular bodies capable of generating tremendous force when striking at prey. Despite their fearsome appearance, giant morays are generally retiring creatures that prefer to remain hidden in their rocky lairs during daylight hours. The hunting strategy of giant moray eels involves patience elevated to an art form. They position themselves in cave entrances or crevices where fish are likely to pass, remaining motionless for hours until the perfect opportunity presents itself. When prey ventures within range, the eel strikes with lightning speed, its pharyngeal jaws shooting forward to grasp victims and draw them into its throat. This secondary set of jaws, hidden within the eel's throat, functions like an internal pair of hands that manipulate prey during swallowing. The social behavior of giant morays includes cooperative hunting partnerships with other reef predators, particularly groupers and octopuses. These unlikely alliances allow different species to exploit each other's hunting strengths, with morays flushing prey from crevices while their partners capture animals fleeing into open water. Such interspecies cooperation demonstrates intelligence and adaptability that challenges traditional assumptions about fish behavior. The skin of giant moray eels secretes a protective mucus that helps them slide through tight spaces and may also provide some protection against parasites and infections. This coating gives them their characteristic slimy appearance and allows them to move through coral formations that would scrape and injure other fish. The mucus also contains chemical signals that may help morays communicate with each other in the dark confines of their reef habitat. The giant clam mantles create living stained glass windows on coral reef flats, their tissues hosting gardens of symbiotic algae that paint them in brilliant blues, greens, and purples. These partnerships between animal and plant represent some of the most successful collaborations in the marine world, with each partner contributing essential resources to their shared existence. The clam provides protection and nutrients for the algae, while the photosynthetic partners supply oxygen and organic compounds that supplement the clam's filter-feeding diet. The growth rate of giant clams reflects their dual nature as both animal and living solar panel. In bright, shallow waters, where their algal partners can photosynthesize efficiently, clams grow rapidly and achieve enormous sizes. In deeper or cloudier conditions, growth slows as the animals rely more heavily on filter feeding to meet their nutritional needs. This flexibility allows giant clams to thrive across a range of reef environments. The shells of giant clams serve as foundations for entire reef communities, with their fluted surfaces providing attachment sites for sponges, corals, and other sessile organisms. Even after the clam dies, its shell continues to function as reef habitat for decades or centuries, eventually becoming incorporated into the reef structure itself. In this way, giant clams contribute to reef building on multiple timescales, both as living organisms and as architectural elements. The spawning behavior of giant clams involves synchronized releases of gametes that can cloud entire sections of reef with reproductive material. These mass spawning events often coincide with lunar cycles and seasonal changes in water temperature, ensuring that larvae are released when conditions favor their survival. The timing of these events can be so precise that entire populations release their gametes within minutes of each other, maximizing the chances of successful fertilization. The giant sea star extends its powerful arms across rocky reefs like a living constellation, its tube feet creating suction forces capable of prying open the shells of well-defended mollusks. These patient predators can maintain their grip on prey for hours or even days, gradually wearing down the resistance of mussels and clams through sheer persistence. Their feeding strategy demonstrates that in the underwater world, slow and steady truly can win the race. The regenerative abilities of giant sea stars border on the miraculous, with lost arms regrowing completely over periods of months or years. Some species can regenerate entire new individuals from single arms, provided the detached limb includes a portion of the central disc. This remarkable healing ability allows sea stars to survive encounters with predators that would be fatal to most other animals, turning potential disasters into opportunities for reproduction. The sensory capabilities of giant sea stars include primitive eye spots at the tips of each arm that can detect changes in light and shadow. These simple organs help the sea star navigate towards shelter or away from threats, while specialized chemoreceptors in the tube feet allow them to taste the water for chemical signals from prey or mates. This distributed sensory system creates a form of awareness that extends throughout the animal's radially symmetric body. The reproductive strategy of giant sea stars involves external fertilization, with males and females releasing their gametes into the water column, where fertilization occurs in the open sea. The resulting larvae drift in the plankton for weeks or months before settling onto suitable substrate to begin their benthic existence. This planktonic phase allows sea stars to colonize new habitats and maintain genetic connectivity between distant populations. The giant Pacific seahorse drifts among kelp forests like an underwater fairy tale character, its equine features and prehensile tail seeming more suited to fantasy than marine biology. These remarkable fish have abandoned the typical swimming motion of their relatives in favor of an upright posture that allows them to grasp onto swaying kelp fronds with their muscular tails. Their movements are deliberate and graceful, each motion calculated to maintain their position in the swaying underwater forest. The feeding behavior of giant Pacific seahorses involves patient ambush tactics that rely on perfect camouflage and lightning-fast strikes. They position themselves among kelp fronds or seagrass blades, where their body shape and coloration render them nearly invisible to passing prey. When small crustaceans or fish fry venture within range, the seahorse strikes with remarkable speed, its tubular snout functioning like a biological pipette that sucks prey into its mouth. The reproductive role reversal in seahorses represents one of nature's most unique parenting arrangements, with males carrying and nurturing the developing young in specialized brood pouches. Females deposit their eggs into these pouches during elaborate courtship rituals that can last for hours. The male then fertilizes the eggs and carries them through their entire development period, providing nutrients and oxygen while protecting them from predators. The courtship dances of giant Pacific seahorses unfold like underwater ballet, with pairs swimming together in spiraling ascents toward the surface. These displays can continue for days, with the seahorses changing colors and performing synchronized movements that strengthen their pair bond. The rituals demonstrate the importance of partnership in seahorse society, where successful reproduction depends on perfect coordination between mates. The giant Pacific anemone creates underwater gardens that rival any terrestrial flowerbed in beauty and complexity, its tentacles swaying in the current like silk ribbons in a gentle breeze. These cnidarians can live for centuries, growing larger and more magnificent with each passing decade. Their bodies become entire ecosystems, hosting communities of fish, crabs, and other creatures that find shelter within their stinging embrace. The feeding strategy of giant anemones involves both active hunting and opportunistic scavenging, with their tentacles responding to chemical cues in the water that indicate the presence of potential prey. When a fish or crab ventures too close, the tentacles respond with coordinated movements that guide the victim toward the anemone's central mouth. The paralyzed prey is then slowly consumed in a process that can take days to complete. The defensive capabilities of giant anemones extend beyond their stinging tentacles to include rapid body contractions that can expel threats or irritants with surprising force. When disturbed, they can retract their tentacles and compress their bodies into tight balls, protecting their delicate internal structures from damage. This ability to transform from flowing beauty to armored fortress demonstrates the dual nature of these remarkable creatures. The symbiotic relationships formed by giant anemones create some of the ocean's most colorful and dynamic partnerships. Clownfish, hermit crabs, and various shrimp species have evolved immunity to the anemone's stings, allowing them to live safely within the tentacle forest. In return, these partners provide cleaning services, remove parasites, and may even share food with their hosts, creating mutually beneficial arrangements that can last for decades. As these gentle giants of the sea continue their ancient dances in waters both shallow and deep, they remind us that true magnificence often reveals itself not in dramatic displays of power, but in the quiet persistence of beings perfectly adapted to their liquid realm. Each creature we've encountered carries within itself millions of years of evolutionary wisdom, their bodies and behaviors sculpted by countless generations of life lived in harmony with the ocean's rhythms. The stories of these giants continue in currents that circle the globe, in migrations that connect distant seas, and in the patient cycles of growth and renewal that mark the passage of oceanic time. They move through their world with a grace that speaks to something deeper than mere survival, embodying a form of existence that seems to flow directly from the sea's own dreaming consciousness. In their presence, we find ourselves drawn into rhythms older than continents, connected to currents that carry not just water and nutrients, but the very essence of life itself. The ocean's giants invite us to slow our breathing, deepen our awareness, And remember that in the vast blue spaces of our world, patience and presence create their own sublime form of majesty that continues to unfold in the eternal dance between creature and sea. The giant Pacific wolffish prowls the cold depths of northern seas like an underwater predator from ancient times, its powerful jaws lined with teeth capable of crushing the shells of crabs and sea urchins with ease. These remarkable fish can live for decades in waters so cold they would quickly kill most marine life, their bodies producing natural antifreeze compounds that keep their blood flowing in temperatures just above freezing. Their eel-like movements through kelp forests and rocky reefs seem deliberate and thoughtful, each motion calculated to conserve energy in an environment where every calorie must be carefully managed. The appearance of a wolffish might seem intimidating at first glance, with its prominent canine teeth and powerful jaw muscles creating an expression that suggests fierce aggression. Yet these impressive predators are surprisingly gentle creatures that prefer to avoid confrontation whenever possible. They establish territories around rocky dens where they can retreat when threatened, their large size and formidable dentition serving more as deterrents than weapons of active aggression. The feeding behavior of giant Pacific wolffish demonstrates remarkable intelligence and tool use as they manipulate rocks and shells to access hidden prey. They can crack open sea urchins with surgical precision, extracting the nutritious contents while avoiding the sharp spines that protect these creatures from less skilled predators. Their hunting technique requires both patience and dexterity, skills that develop over many years of experience in their rocky underwater territories. The reproductive habits of wolffish reveal tender aspects of their nature that contrast sharply with their fierce appearance. Pairs form strong bonds that can last for many breeding seasons, with both parents taking turns guarding their clusters of bright orange eggs. The male often assumes primary responsibility for protecting the developing young, fanning fresh water over them with his fins and aggressively defending the nest site from potential threats. This parental dedication continues for months until the young fish are large enough to venture out on their own. The giant kelp rockfish glides through underwater forests like a living ornament, its mottled patterns of brown and yellow blending perfectly with the swaying fronds that shelter it. These long-lived fish can survive for over a century, their slow growth and patient nature allowing them to weather the storms and seasonal changes that reshape their kelp forest homes. They move with unhurried grace through their three-dimensional world, their swim bladders allowing them to maintain perfect buoyancy as they drift between the kelp canopy and the rocky floor below. The social structure of kelp rockfish revolves around loose aggregations that form and dissolve with the rhythms of feeding and reproduction. During spawning season, these normally solitary fish gather in spectacular numbers, their movements creating underwater clouds of life that can be seen from great distances. The larvae that result from these gatherings drift with ocean currents for months before settling into suitable kelp habitat to begin their own century-long journey through the underwater forest. The feeding strategy of giant kelp rockfish involves patient ambush hunting that takes advantage of their perfect camouflage and intimate knowledge of local current patterns. They position themselves where small fish and invertebrates are likely to pass, remaining motionless for hours until prey ventures within striking distance. Their large mouths can engulf surprisingly large meals, allowing them to take advantage of feeding opportunities that smaller fish must ignore. The sensory capabilities of kelp rockfish include lateral line systems that detect the slightest movements in the water around them, alerting them to both predators and prey even in the dim light beneath the kelp canopy. Their large eyes gather every available photon of filtered sunlight, while specialized cells in their inner ears help them maintain orientation in the constantly shifting underwater landscape. These adaptations allow them to thrive in an environment where visibility changes constantly with the movement of kelp fronds and the angle of sunlight penetrating from above. The giant Pacific halibut lies flat against sandy bottoms like a living carpet, its asymmetrical body representing one of evolution's most remarkable adaptations to benthic life. These flatfish begin life swimming upright like conventional fish, but undergo a dramatic transformation during their juvenile development. One eye migrates across their head to join its partner on what becomes the upper side of their body, while the lower side loses all pigmentation and becomes perfectly white. This metamorphosis allows them to disappear completely against sandy or muddy substrates. The hunting strategy of giant halibut involves burying themselves in sediment with only their eyes and mouth exposed, creating living trapdoors on the ocean floor. They can remain motionless for hours or even days, their patience rewarded when fish, crabs, or other prey animals venture close enough to be engulfed in a lightning-fast strike. Their mouths can open to enormous proportions, creating suction forces that draw victims into their gullets before they have time to react or escape. The growth potential of Pacific halibut seems almost unlimited, with the largest individuals reaching weights of several hundred pounds and lengths that can exceed 8 feet. These ancient fish accumulate decades of experience and knowledge about their territories, learning the subtle patterns of current and season that bring prey within reach. Their slow metabolism allows them to survive long periods without feeding, a crucial adaptation for predators that depend on ambush tactics in an unpredictable environment. The migration patterns of giant halibut connect shallow coastal waters with the deep ocean basins where they spend much of their adult lives. Juvenile fish remain in nearshore areas where food is abundant and predators are fewer, while adults venture into deeper waters where they can find larger prey and suitable spawning grounds. These movements follow ancient routes that have been refined over millions of years, connecting diverse marine habitats in patterns that scientists are still working to understand. The giant green sea turtle navigates vast ocean basins with the wisdom of ages written in its ancient shell. Each growth ring a record of seasons survived and migrations completed. These marine reptiles can live for over a century, their patient progress through life measured not in years, but in decades of slow maturation and learning. Their shells bear the scars of encounters with sharks and the marks of countless journeys across coral reefs and through open ocean waters. The feeding transformation that occurs as green sea turtles mature represents one of nature's most dramatic dietary shifts. Juveniles begin life as carnivores, feeding on jellyfish, crabs, and other protein-rich prey that fuel their rapid early growth. As they mature, they gradually transition to a herbivorous lifestyle, their digestive systems adapting to process the tough seagrasses and algae that form the bulk of their adult diet. This change requires not just physical adaptation but also learned behaviors, as young turtles discover the locations of the best underwater meadows. The nesting behavior of female green sea turtles involves epic journeys that can span thousands of miles as they return to the exact beaches where they themselves were born. These ancient mariners navigate using magnetic fields, star patterns, and chemical cues that guide them across featureless ocean expanses with unerring accuracy. Upon reaching their natal beaches, they emerge from the surf under cover of darkness to dig their nests in sand that may not have felt turtle tracks for decades. The relationship between green sea turtles and the seagrass meadows they graze creates underwater gardens that support entire ecosystems. Their feeding activities trim the grass blades to optimal lengths, promoting healthy growth, while preventing any single species from dominating these marine pastures. The nutrients they deposit through their waste products fertilize the meadows, creating positive feedback loops that benefit countless other species that depend on these underwater prairies. The giant Pacific electric ray glides across sandy bottoms like a living battery, its disc-shaped body containing specialized organs capable of generating powerful electrical discharges. These remarkable fish use their bioelectric capabilities both for hunting and defense, stunning prey with precisely controlled shocks, while deterring predators with displays of electrical force that can be felt from considerable distances. Their movements are slow and deliberate, conserving energy for the metabolically expensive process of generating electricity. The electrical organs of Pacific electric rays consist of thousands of modified muscle cells arranged in columns that function like biological batteries. When threatened or hunting, these cells discharge simultaneously, creating electrical fields strong enough to paralyze fish or cause painful shocks to larger animals. The rays can control both the voltage and duration of their electrical outputs, adjusting their discharges to match the size and threat level of whatever they encounter. The feeding behavior of electric rays involves using their electrical abilities to stun schools of small fish, then leisurely consuming the paralyzed prey at their own pace. This hunting strategy allows them to capture multiple prey items with minimal energy expenditure, their electrical attacks requiring far less effort than the pursuit hunting employed by most marine predators. They often bury themselves in sand near productive fishing areas, emerging only when their electrical senses detect the bioelectric signatures of potential prey swimming overhead. The reproductive behavior of electric rays includes elaborate courtship rituals where males demonstrate their electrical capabilities to potential mates through displays of controlled discharges. These underwater light shows may help females assess the health and vigor of potential partners, as the ability to generate strong electrical fields requires excellent physical condition and abundant energy reserves. The resulting partnerships often last throughout the breeding season, with pairs working together to select optimal nursery areas for their developing young. The giant Pacific sea nettle drifts through coastal waters like a living parachute, its translucent bell pulsing with rhythmic contractions that propel it through the water column. These magnificent jellyfish can achieve bell diameters exceeding 3 feet, their trailing tentacles extending even further into the surrounding water, where they create invisible barriers of stinging cells. Their movements follow the complex patterns of ocean currents and tidal flows, making them true nomads of the marine realm. The feeding strategy of sea nettles involves positioning themselves in currents where small prey animals are concentrated. Their tentacles spread like nets to capture whatever the ocean delivers. They pulse slowly through these feeding zones, their bells contracting to drive water and prey toward their mouths in a process that appears almost meditative in its unhurried rhythm. This passive hunting technique requires perfect timing and positioning, skills that these ancient creatures have refined over hundreds of millions of years. The life cycle of sea nettles includes both the familiar, free-swimming Medusa stage and a lesser-known polyp phase that attaches to hard surfaces on the seafloor. These benthic polyps can remain dormant for years during unfavorable conditions, budding off new jellyfish only when water temperatures and food availability create optimal conditions for their survival. This dual lifestyle allows sea nettles to exploit both the rich feeding opportunities of the water column and the stability of bottom habitats. The seasonal migrations of sea nettles bring them into coastal waters during specific times of year when plankton blooms provide abundant food resources. These gatherings can involve thousands of individuals, creating underwater displays of pulsing translucent beauty that transform entire bays into living galaxies. Their presence often coincides with the reproductive cycles of fish and other marine animals, creating complex ecological interactions that connect jellyfish to the broader rhythms of coastal marine life. The giant Pacific chimera glides through deep waters like a prehistoric ghost, its cartilaginous skeleton and primitive features linking it to ancestors that swam in ancient seas hundreds of millions of years ago. These remarkable fish possess a combination of characteristics borrowed from both sharks and bony fish, their unique anatomy representing an evolutionary experiment that has persisted through countless geological ages. Their large eyes gather every available photon of light in the dim depths they call home. The feeding behavior of chimeras involves crushing shellfish and crustaceans with specialized tooth plates that grow continuously throughout their lives. These dental batteries can exert tremendous pressure, allowing the fish to exploit prey resources that are unavailable to most other deep-sea predators. Their feeding creates distinctive shell fragments on the seafloor, archaeological evidence of their presence in the dark depths where few other creatures venture. The reproductive strategy of chimeras includes the production of elaborate egg cases that females deposit on the seafloor, where they develop for many months before hatching. These protective capsules often feature intricate sculptural details and may include long tendrils that anchor them to rocks or coral formations. The extended development period allows young chimeras to reach substantial size before leaving the safety of their egg cases to face the challenges of deep-sea life. The sensory capabilities of chimeras include electroreception organs that detect the weak electrical fields generated by other living creatures. This sixth sense allows them to locate prey buried in sediment and navigate through the perpetual darkness of their deep water habitat. Their lateral line systems are also highly developed, enabling them to detect water movements and pressure changes that might indicate the presence of predators or prey in the surrounding darkness. The giant Pacific sea cucumber extends its feeding tentacles across the sea floor like underwater flowers, their movements creating gentle currents that bring organic particles within reach of their mouths. These remarkable echinoderms can achieve lengths exceeding 3 feet, their bodies serving as living vacuum cleaners that process enormous quantities of sediment in their search for organic matter. Their feeding activities help recycle nutrients and maintain the health of benthic communities throughout their range. The defensive capabilities of giant sea cucumbers include the ability to expel their internal organs when threatened, a process called evisceration that can confuse predators and allow the cucumber time to escape. The expelled organs regenerate over time, making this dramatic defense mechanism a renewable resource that can be used repeatedly throughout the animal's long life. This remarkable ability to literally give up vital organs for survival demonstrates the extreme adaptations possible in marine environments. The reproductive behavior of sea cucumbers involves synchronized spawning events where entire populations release their gametes into the water column simultaneously. These mass releases often coincide with specific tidal and lunar conditions that optimize the chances of successful fertilization and larval dispersal. The resulting larvae drift in the plankton for weeks before settling onto suitable substrate to begin their benthic existence. The ecological importance of giant sea cucumbers extends far beyond their individual lives to encompass their role as ecosystem engineers that modify seafloor habitats through their feeding and burrowing activities. Their constant processing of sediments helps maintain proper oxygen levels in bottom communities, while their waste products provide important nutrients for bacteria and other microscopic organisms that form the base of deep-sea food webs. The giant Pacific geoduck clam extends its massive siphon through sandy sediments like a living periscope, its ability to filter enormous volumes of seawater, making it one of the ocean's most efficient water purifiers. These remarkable mollusks can live for well over a century, their shells growing slowly but steadily as they process the nutrients carried by tidal currents. Their buried bodies remain hidden beneath feet of sand and mud, connected to the world above only through their extended siphons. The filtering capabilities of geoduck clams process hundreds of gallons of seawater each day, removing bacteria, plankton, and organic particles with remarkable efficiency. This feeding activity helps maintain water clarity and quality in the estuarine environments where these clams thrive, their biological filtration systems supporting the health of entire coastal ecosystems. Their waste products fertilize the surrounding sediments, creating nutrient-rich patches that support diverse communities of worms, crabs, and other benthic organisms. The reproductive strategy of geoducks involves releasing millions of eggs and sperm into the water column during synchronized spawning events that can cloud entire bays with reproductive material. The timing of these releases depends on water temperature, tidal conditions, and seasonal factors that maximize the survival chances of the resulting larvae. Young geoducks spend several weeks drifting in the plankton before settling into sediments to begin their long-buried lives. The commercial importance of geoduck clams has made them among the most valuable shellfish in the world. Their unique texture and flavor prized in cuisines throughout Asia and the Pacific Northwest. However, their extremely slow growth and late maturation make them particularly vulnerable to overharvesting, requiring careful management to ensure that populations remain sustainable for future generations. Their longevity means that individual clams may have been filtering water and supporting ecosystem health for longer than human lifespans. As these gentle giants of the deep continue their patient existence in waters both near and far, they weave themselves into the very fabric of oceanic life, each species contributing essential threads to the complex tapestry of marine ecosystems. Their stories unfold across timescales that dwarf human experience, their lives measured not in the hurried rhythms of surface dwellers, but in the slow, steady pulse of geological time itself. The presence of these magnificent creatures transforms every corner of the ocean into a theatre of quiet wonder, where size and grace combine to create performances that have been running without interruption for millions of years. They move through their liquid realm with the confidence that comes from perfect adaptation, their every gesture shaped by countless generations of life lived in harmony with the sea's eternal rhythms. In their company, we find ourselves slowing to match their peaceful pace, our breathing deepening to echo the gentle rise and fall of ocean swells. The giants of the sea invite us to release the urgency of terrestrial time and embrace instead the patient wisdom that flows through every current and tide. Here in their domain, where pressure and depth create sanctuaries of profound calm, we discover that true magnificence often whispers rather than roars, revealing itself to those who take the time to listen to the ocean's quietest voices. The deep waters hold these gentle titans in their eternal embrace, supporting their massive forms with the same tenderness that cradles the smallest plankton. In this underwater realm, where gravity loses much of its meaning and movement becomes a form of meditation, we glimpse possibilities for existence that transcend the boundaries of our surface understanding, inviting us to drift ever deeper into the peaceful mysteries that await in the blue heart of our living planet. Planet, the giant Pacific sea angel, drifts through the water column like a translucent butterfly, its wing-like appendages beating in slow motion as it navigates the twilight zones between surface and depth. These ethereal creatures seem to fly rather than swim, their bodies so perfectly transparent that they appear to be made of crystallized water and moonlight. Their movements carry an otherworldly grace that transforms the surrounding sea into a liquid sky where angels dance in perpetual slow motion. The feeding behavior of sea angels reveals hunting strategies that seem almost too delicate for predation. They pursue their prey, sea butterflies, with patient determination that can span hours or even days. When they finally make contact, the capture unfolds like an underwater ballet, with the angel's proboscis extending to envelop its victim in what appears more like an embrace than an attack. This gentle predation reflects the refined nature of life in the open ocean, where efficiency matters more than aggression. The reproductive rituals of sea angels involve spiraling dances that can last for entire nights, their transparent bodies intertwining as they rise toward the surface together. These courtship flights create living helixes in the water, patterns of movement that seem to write poetry in 3 dimensions. The eggs they produce drift like scattered pearls through the plankton, each one containing the potential for new generations of these aquatic spirits. The seasonal migrations of sea angels follow the movements of their prey across vast ocean basins, their journeys connecting polar feeding grounds with temperate breeding areas. They travel not as individuals, but as scattered communities, their paths crossing and recrossing like the trails of celestial bodies through liquid space. During these migrations, they transform entire water columns into galleries of living art, their presence turning the ocean into a medium for expressions of beauty that exist far from any human observer. The giant Pacific moon jelly pulses through coastal waters like a living constellation, its bell-shaped body glowing with bioluminescent displays that create underwater aurora in the darkness. These ancient creatures move with the rhythm of their own heartbeat, their contractions sending waves of light rippling across their translucent surfaces. Their bodies serve as living lamps that illuminate the water around them, creating pockets of ethereal radiance in the vast darkness of the sea. The feeding mechanism of moon jellies involves trailing their tentacles like fishing lines through plankton-rich waters, their stinging cells capturing microscopic prey with touches so gentle they barely disturb the surrounding water. They process their meals with unhurried patience, their digestive systems visible through their transparent bodies like slow-moving rivers of nutrition. This open book anatomy reveals the elegant simplicity of their life processes, each function visible and flowing in perfect harmony. The aggregating behavior of moon jellies creates some of the ocean's most spectacular displays, with thousands of individuals gathering in bays and estuaries where conditions favor their survival. These blooms transform entire bodies of water into living galaxies, their synchronized pulsing creating waves of light that can be seen from aircraft flying overhead. The sight of so many ancient creatures moving together speaks to rhythms that have persisted since the earliest chapters of life on Earth. The life cycle of moon jellies encompasses both the familiar Medusa stage and a hidden polyp phase that anchors itself to underwater surfaces like tiny flowers in a secret garden. These bottom-dwelling forms can remain dormant for years, waiting for conditions that trigger the budding of new jellyfish. This ability to pause their life cycle allows moon jellies to survive environmental challenges that would eliminate less adaptable species, their patience rewarded when favorable conditions return. The giant Pacific ratfish glides through deeper waters like an underwater bird of prey, its wing-like pectoral fins and whip-like tail creating a silhouette that seems borrowed from aerial rather than aquatic realms. These cartilaginous fish possess large emerald eyes that gather light with remarkable efficiency, allowing them to see clearly in depths where most creatures must rely on other senses. Their movements carry a dignity that speaks to their ancient lineage, each motion deliberate and purposeful. The feeding strategy of ratfish involves crushing mollusks and crustaceans With tooth plates that function like living nutcrackers, their powerful jaws capable of processing prey that would challenge most other fish. They hunt with methodical patience, their large pectoral fins allowing them to hover motionless above the seafloor while they search for buried prey. Their feeding creates distinctive shell fragments that litter the bottom, like the remains of underwater feasts. The reproductive behavior of ratfish includes the production of elaborate egg cases that females deposit in rocky crevices, where they develop for nearly a year before hatching. These protective capsules often feature intricate horn-like projections that anchor them securely to their chosen substrate. The extended development period allows young ratfish to emerge as fully capable predators, ready to face the challenges of deep water life without the vulnerable larval stage that characterizes many marine species. The sensory capabilities of ratfish include lateral line systems that detect the slightest water movements, alerting them to both predators and prey in their dimly lit habitat. Their electroreception abilities allow them to locate buried animals by sensing the weak electrical fields generated by their gill movements and muscle contractions. These combined senses create a detailed picture of their surroundings that extends far beyond what their large eyes can perceive. The giant Pacific hagfish moves through the deepest trenches like a living ribbon, its eel-like body perfectly adapted for life in the most extreme depths of the ocean. These primitive vertebrates represent one of evolution's most ancient experiments in spinal cord development. Their simple anatomy unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Their movements through the water seem almost serpentine, their bodies undulating with motions that appear both graceful and primordial. The feeding behavior of hagfish involves both scavenging and predation, their ability to tie their bodies in knots providing leverage for tearing flesh from carcasses or extracting themselves from tight spaces. They can survive for months without feeding, their slow metabolism allowing them to endure the food-poor environment of the deep sea. When feeding opportunities arise, they attack with surprising vigor, their rasping tongues stripping flesh from bones with methodical efficiency. The defensive capabilities of hagfish include the production of enormous quantities of slime when threatened, their bodies capable of creating clouds of mucus that can clog the gills of potential predators. This remarkable defense mechanism transforms them from apparent vulnerability into untouchable adversaries in moments. The slime production requires significant energy, but its effectiveness makes it worthwhile in an environment where encounters with predators can mean the difference between survival and death. The reproductive strategy of hagfish remains one of the ocean's enduring mysteries, with scientists only recently discovering their spawning grounds in the deepest parts of their range. Their eggs are large and yolk-rich, providing developing embryos with the resources needed to survive in the nutrient-poor depths, where they will spend their adult lives. The discovery of their breeding habits has revealed aspects of deep-sea reproduction that challenge previous assumptions about life in the abyss. The giant Pacific spider crab extends its impossibly long legs across underwater meadows, like a walking piece of living architecture, its limbs spanning distances that seem to defy the structural limitations of arthropod anatomy. These remarkable crustaceans move with surprising grace despite their enormous size, their legs stepping carefully through kelp forests and across rocky reefs with movements that appear almost choreographed. Their shells serve as mobile ecosystems, hosting gardens of sponges and algae that transform each crab into a walking reef. The molting process of spider crabs represents one of the most vulnerable periods in their long lives, as they must shed their protective shells to accommodate their growing bodies. During these times, they seek out hidden crevices and caves where they can remain motionless, while their new exoskeletons harden. The discarded shells they leave behind become temporary reefs themselves, providing habitat for smaller creatures until they decompose and return their minerals to the sea. And so, our gentle journey through the realm of ocean giants draws to its quiet close. We have drifted alongside beings whose lives unfold in scales beyond our hurried understanding, creatures that move with the patience of tides and the wisdom of ages. From the songs of humpback whales that carry across entire ocean basins to the delicate dance of sea angels in the twilight depths, each giant has reminded us that true magnificence often whispers rather than roars. These gentle titans continue their ancient rhythms in waters both shallow and deep, their stories flowing onward like the currents that carry them. In their presence, we have glimpsed something larger than ourselves, connected to forces that move through both water and time. If this peaceful exploration has helped you drift toward rest, then the ocean's giants have shared their greatest gift, the art of slowing down and finding calm in the endless blue. Let their patient wisdom carry you gently into sleep, where dreams move with the grace of whales through liquid starlight.